in to Frankyrose's Crime Updates. You are now tuned in to Frankyrose's Crime Updates.
Let's switch to suspense. Let's switch to suspense.
You are now tuned in to Frankyrose's Crime Updates. Crime Updates. Crime Updates. You are now tuned in to Frankyrose's Crime Updates. Crime Updates.
Good day, friends. I hope you're doing well. It's Frankyrose. Welcome back to my channel. So, the contents of this video are for educational awareness purposes only. The following information has been gathered from news sources, family interviews, and a simple internet search. Conducting your own research is always recommended and highly encouraged. So, I don't know how much of that applies to Hurricane Ian, but I definitely think we need to be taking another look at him. He's getting close, guys. I think I'm finally awake. Okay, let's check this out.
A shelter-in-place order. So the Hillsborough County Emergency Operations Center said that it's best for you guys to stay where you are right now.
Don't try to go somewhere else. Don't try to go to any more shelters. You know, they were open earlier, but they really just want you to stay home and stay safe. For now, I'm actually going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Brianna. That's a sight we definitely don't see every day. But looking at the size of Hurricane Ian, I find it fascinating and frightening, the impact and how the impact is so different.
Yeah.
Depending on where you live.
Yeah, I spoke with the acting director of FEMA yesterday, Jamie Rome, and he was explaining that's exactly what he said. That was the size of this thing, and it really puts into perspective the width of Florida, right? It's pretty narrow, and it is just covering the majority of the state with the rain and the winds, just an incredible sight.
And back in the day, before I ever lived in Florida, I used to think only the area that had landfall was impacted, but we learned quickly back in 2004, the whole state, it keeps going. It's still going to be a Cat 1 as it moves its way over Polk County in the wee hours of the night, which is going to be frightening for people there. So they need to hunker down and make sure they're in a very safe place.
Yes, an important reminder, and we'll be right back with more.
Hey there, folks. JB here with you live on Wfla Now. Stand by for additional coverage coming up here in a few minutes. We are about to get the 2 o'clock advisory come down any moment, and we are waiting a landfall declaration by the National Hurricane Center. Hurricane force winds, Eric, are moving ashore right now.
That's right. In fact, we had a report just off of Captiva Island. It was 123 mile per hour wind gusts to the northeast. And you know what? That strong eye wall is making impacts now in parts of the Lee County Islands, as well as parts of Charlotte Harbor, Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, and Englewood, and even heading a little bit northward into the Venice area. So that is where we're seeing the strongest wind right now, as part of the eye has made its way onshore. Part of it is making its way right now into the Sanibel Captiva area. So conditions will actually improve for a brief time while you're in the eye, and then you're going to get the backside of the eye wall. The wind's going to come from the opposite direction, and we're going to see those 100+ mile per hour winds continue.
We're standing by for our live hit on WFLA News Channel 8. You will see it here on our live stream coming up. However, please, we're still looking for your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyEric questions and comments. I'll be back here momentarily on Tracking the Trop.
Well, I hope everybody's safe out there. This thing's nasty. I don't know. I wouldn't be sticking around. I would be getting the hell out of there. Yeah, I wouldn't be hanging out in my house at all. Unless it had a deep, deep basement, and I don't think a lot of these places have basements. That's scary crap. They have no sound. Huh. And timing out, of course. I think everything's gonna kind of go a little wonky as far as a lot of this stuff goes. So check it out. Northport, Punta Gorda. Like, oh my God, look at that thing. Oh. Oh my God. I've never been to that side of Florida. And beautiful. Anything I've seen is just beautiful. Wish my old body would deal with that kind of stuff better. Because I'd probably live there. Probably one of the prettiest spots I've seen.
To prepare what happens after the storm. We want to remind all of our residents and visitors, when it's time to leave, turn around, don't drown. When you come upon standing water, do not drive through it unless you are absolutely certain of the depth and you're certain that a large pothole or sinkhole didn't get created underneath it. Best thing to do is detour around or turn around standing water in the road. Watch for down power lines. We have a number of down power lines already, and keep in mind, we are just dealing with tropical storm winds. We haven't even begun to get Category 4 hurricane winds. That is yet to come. There are traffic signals that are dangling. We can see that on our traffic cameras. There are down power lines. We have power in a number of county facilities, like the lift stations that is out. So you are going to wake up tomorrow to a very different landscape. Those of you that have generators, be sure those generators are being operated outside of your home where there is fresh air to exchange, and they are not near any kind of air intake coming into your house. Don't lift up your garage door and put your generator out in your garage. That will not get rid of all the carbon monoxide. Generators should only be run outside, away from any possibility of those fumes getting into your home. Do not venture out until the public officials notify you that it is safe to leave your home. The eye of this hurricane is quite large. There will be many areas underneath the eye where you will think the sun has come out and it's time to play. The sun will only be shining for a brief period of time, and it's going to be surrounded by an eye wall that is going to pass through a second time. So please, until we notify you or public officials in the county where you reside notify you that it's safe to leave your shelter or your home, do not stay in your home. Don't be a disaster tourist. Don't be a disaster tourist. There will be much work that must be done after the winds leave and we're able to get out and do our assessments. What will slow our efforts down is if everybody gets on the road, drives around to look for yourself about what damage has been done. That is a disaster tourist. Don't get out and ride your bike around and see what's going on, or your cars. take care of whatever necessary business you need to take care of, and allow us as much freedom on the roads and the like to get the work done that we need to do to get our community back to where it was before the storm. You are putting yourself in harm's way if you venture out for the purposes of gawking at the damage. I know we're all going to be curious, but you've got great news coverage, you've got social media, you don't necessarily have to go out and see it for yourself. Now, if you want to stand in your own front yard and you don't have any down power lines, you don't have any down trees, you don't have a lot of standing water, that's fine. But please allow us to get in and do the work that needs to be done to make it safe for you, your neighbors, and your children to be back outside in our beautiful environment. Speaking of real helpers, I have sent a note to all Manatee County employees to be ready to deploy for rescue and recovery work as soon as it is safe to do so. All county employees, not just those ones that may be assigned to the EOC or those that have utility jobs, but I have asked every single employee, and we're 2,000 plus, to be ready and available as soon as the winds subside so that we can deploy every person in Manatee County government that is able, physically able, to contribute to the recovery effort to be available sometime around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Utilities, you're going to notice this is going to degradation in utilities. As I mentioned, the lift stations are out. We have potable water lines that are out as well. Hopefully you followed the guidance that we put out every year before hurricane season to have water stored and ready to drink. If you doubt at all the water that is coming out of your faucet, if it doesn't look right, it doesn't smell right, don't drink it. Drink the bottled water that you save for these efforts. There are going to be disruptions in your life. It's an act of God, and we're going to get to work as soon as possible to recover and restore those systems. Chief, would like to add anything?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Hopes. Just a couple comments.
All right, you have been listening to this update out of Manatee County. They are, of course, going to be severely impacted by Hurricane Ian. We always like to defer to the authorities in case they have important information to get out there. In some cases, Jen, life-saving information.
Absolutely. And let's go now to Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baradelli. And Jeff, we are getting very close to landfall.
That's exactly right. In fact, this computer down here will tell me the second it makes landfall. And the second I know is the second I will tell you. Just some new wind gusts coming in. Cape Coral, 101 miles an hour. Sanibel, 98. Solana, which is down there as well, 106 miles an hour. Take a look right here. The western side of this storm is stronger than the eastern side. So we've been seeing consistent wind gusts to 100, 110 on the eastern side. What you're looking at is winds just above the surface right here. So these are not translating necessarily to those winds on the ground, but every once in a while, if you get a thunderstorm and you have upward rising or downward sinking air, you can get some of these stronger wind gusts aloft to mix down to the ground. Now that is the center of the storm, so the eye is about to make landfall. Just to give you an idea, that's Captiva Island right there, and there is Boca Grande, and of course, this right here is the southern part of Sarasota County. So the western side of this storm is the strongest side of this storm. We're looking at radar velocities right now. I'm going to clear this for you, and I want to switch it over to reflectivity, which is what you more typically see, so you can see this. This is a huge storm. I mean, hurricane force winds extend out about 80 miles to the north and south, as you can see. And we really do have some pretty crazy information coming in right now. 1,000 lightning strikes in the center of this storm in a matter of an hour showed you why it increased its intensity close to Category 5. Doesn't look like it's going to become a Cat 5, best I could tell, because it's running out of time here. All right, with that said, I want to bring in JB Buno from WFLA Now. You've probably been watching him on Facebook or on YouTube. JB, and there's, of course, Eric on his right. JB, I wanted to bring you into the conversation because I want to know what viewers are asking. What are viewers talking about right now? And any questions from viewers for me?
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions and comments coming in right now. Eric, excuse me, Jeff and Eric joining us here, buddy, on tracking the tropics. We're Monitoring Facebook Live, YouTube Live for your comments using hashtag HeyJB and hashtag HeyEric, including this one that just came in a moment ago from Steelers fan on YouTube Live. Hashtag HeyJB or hashtag HeyEric, hashtag HeyJB. Please update on Port Charlotte. I'm in another state, so I have no way of finding info. My parents lost a home in Hurricane Charlie, so I'm freaking out a bit. Thanks. What do we say for this commenter on YouTube Live?
Well, you know, in Port Charlotte right now, we're seeing the eye wall come right over top of the Port Charlotte area. So strong, gusty wind of at least 100 miles per hour, if not now, in the coming minutes, in fact, as Ian does move into that direction. The good news is it looks like it will make landfall south of Charlotte Harbor. So it's kind of pulling water away from Charlotte Harbor for now, but we still could see some sort of storm surge in Charlotte Harbor that could affect Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte.
So this is a really important part of what we do as far as answering your questions live. We know that people in the impact area in Sarasota, Manatee counties, especially talking about Charlotte County, we know that you have questions out there, and we're here in the palm of your hand to answer your questions across Facebook Live, where we're going to be launching a new stream momentarily. Also on YouTube Live as well. We're also here to let you know that we're monitoring Twitter for any storm pictures or any storm videos coming in as well. And I want to show this here to everybody. In fact, I can bring this up a little bit more full screen. Vanessa tweeted this at us. Water being sucked out of Tampa Bay by Hurricane Ian. Take a look at this. She shot this video, I think about an hour or so ago. She says the location is Gandy Beach Mangroves in St. Pete, Florida. You can use hashtag HeyJB, or you can at WFLA on Twitter, and we're going to animate some of your pictures and videos on screen as well. So we're here live, everybody, in the WFLA Now Stream Center, and we're here live with Amanda Holly. We're live with Eric Stone, and want to leave this up here on your screen. Folks, wherever you're watching from, you can scan the QR code on the right side of your screen, and it will take you right over to the YouTube Live comment section. You see app icons across the top right, Max Defender 8 app, WFLA app, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. We're live right now to answer your questions. And Jeff, we will be coming back to you in a little bit as we start to get in some of these questions, and we're going to be sending them over to you to answer them live on the air on WFLA News Channel 8.
JB, keep up the great work. You are doing such great work there. We have thousands and thousands upon thousands of people watching JB right now and asking questions. By the way, take a look at the Hillsborough River. You can see how the water is flowing out because of the wind from the storm, and you can see how we actually have a beach here briefly, only for a day, along the Hillsborough River. It's crazy to see what's going on.
Hey guys, well, I'm gonna take a quick break. It's kind of required. I think that this is going to hit hard and fast. It's scary shite. Holy. You watch that water. I'd like to see what the sky looks like right now. I know with tornadoes that the sky is like, it looks pissed right off. It doesn't look happy. But it's actually, I mean, if you're not sitting in the middle of it, it's an amazing thing to see, actually. Mother Nature can deal a lot of crap out to us, can't she? No, why do I do that?
Some important developments.
Go. Holy. Did something go wrong with their feed, I'm wondering? Or is, because it looks like JD's still talking. Oh, he's starting. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. cannot get over the size of that freaking thing. Oh my god. I wouldn't want that thing coming at me. I don't know. I've got a funny relationship with water. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship. Right now, I would hate to be there. Fort Lauderdale, like all that side. I thought that's the side I actually thought it was going to go up. I'd love to go to the Keys. JB's got a funky desk. Man, the many computers.
Live from our hurricane headquarters with real-time analysis from some of the nation's top meteorologists, this is Tracking the Tropics.
Any moment, we've got landfall in South Florida, or excuse me, Central Florida. Let's send things right over.
Eric Stone looks like
We'll have landfall with Ian sometime in the next few minutes. In fact, within 15 minutes, I suspect. The eye right now, part of it anyway, is right over Sanibel and Captiva. Category 4 storm, the 2 o'clock update really didn't change all that much at all. Still 155 mile per hour maximum sustained wind moving north-northeast at 9. And the minimum central pressure is still very low at 937. But all these numbers, well, will start to go in our favor once this storm does make landfall in the next several minutes. It is expected to take a track right through the northeast and the central portion of Polk County, right into the Orlando area, St. Augustine, just south of Jacksonville, and then emerge back into the Atlantic briefly as a tropical storm and possibly make a second landfall, either in Savannah, up toward Charleston in South Carolina. Close up saying that, hey, Wednesday this evening by 8 o'clock, it looks like this storm will be still a major hurricane, but in Manatee County, it will rapidly decrease in strength, in fact, to a tropical storm by the time it makes its way into the Orlando area. But the key is it is moving a lot faster now than what some of the models projected yesterday. So the Euro and the GFS still in disagreement, with the GFS keeping this behind for several hours. In fact, by tomorrow afternoon, GFS still has the system in southeastern Polk County, while the Euro is near Daytona Beach. Wants to see that race. Otherwise, it looks like both models finally getting this out of here late Thursday into Friday, but the Euro slightly sooner. And of course, the monoplot suggesting that this will emerge into the Atlantic briefly. I don't think it's going to strengthen back into a hurricane, but it will be a strong tropical storm making yet another landfall, most likely in the southern portions of South Carolina. Earlier had an extreme wind warning in effect. That has since been lifted, but either way, the eye wall now making its way into portions of Charlotte County and even South Sarasota County, the Englewood area, which covers both counties, Boca Grande toward Placida, Rotunda. If any of you live in that area, again, that eye wall is really pummeling you right now, and it'll be clear for a little while. This eye is going to move over portions of Cape Coral, Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, and it's going to appear bright and sunny. But don't let it fool you, because the backside of Ian is actually the worst side, as we'll have another round of storms and high wind. In fact, the greatest amount of wind, the higher wind speed around the western and the southern side of this storm. So if you are in the clear with the eye, brace yourself, because you're going to get another round of that strong wind. And of course, the heavy rain as it continues to move to the north and northeast. And of course, with any landfalling hurricane or tropical system, tornadoes are possible. Tornado watch in Polk County and counties southward. Still can't rule out the threat of a tornado even in the Tampa Bay area, but not as likely now as what we'd seen earlier. Still, from Hillsborough County southward, Polk County south and eastward, hurricane winds are very likely over the next several hours as Ian tracks to the north and northeast. If you live in Pasco, Hernando, or Citrus County, chances are you are not going to experience hurricane force wind. In fact, you may see wind gusts in hurricane force strength in parts of southern Pasco County. Otherwise, expect strong tropical storm force wind. And again, the tropical storm force wind field over 300 miles from west to east. Right now, we're starting to see some of those winds around 40 to 50 miles per hour sustained in the St. Petersburg area down toward Venice. But for the most part, the wind gusts are 60 to 70 miles per hour in the southern portions of the area, although now Venice really starting to pick up. A little bit further south, sustained wind in Punta Gorda at 61 miles per hour. And again, we are seeing those wind speeds actually knock out some of the sensors at Naples Airport. Wind sensor is down. Fort Myers Airport down as well. But now wind gusting in Punta Gorda to 90 miles per hour. Venice at 79 miles per hour. Several reports, Sanibel and off Captiva, of over 100 to 120 mile per hour wind gust. So it looks like this rain and wind will continue as the storm moves through the middle and the latter part of the afternoon. Greatest threat of wind coming in the next couple of hours in the Venice area. You can see wind speed over 100 miles per hour, and that is sustained wind. As this system moves north and northeast, you start to see the hurricane force wind move slightly to our east. That is good news for us here in the Bay Area. But again, Highlands and Polk County, a good chance Wednesday evening of hurricane force wind. And then the system dies down just a bit. So Orlando area may be seeing hurricane force wind gusts, but more likely tropical storm force wind. And by Thursday morning, things look a lot better because now the storm isn't expected to move as slow. It is going to get out of here at a pretty good pace. It'll still be breezy. We still could see tropical storm force wind gusts tomorrow afternoon, but we're looking about 20 to 30 miles per hour in regards to wind. And then the wind really calms down as we head into the overnight hours, Thursday night into Friday. So the wind gust forecast, you can see really close to the eye, 100 to 110 miles per hour, even up to 120 as it heads from Boca Grande to Venice to Punta Gorda, Fort Myers, even Englewood and Venice. And then by this afternoon, later on, you see those wind gusts up to 90 in Arcadia, still over 100 in Punta Gorda on the backside of the storm. Arcadia still 98 this evening on the backside of the storm because, again, the winds are strongest on the backside. Once we get into the overnight hours, we start to see those tropical storm force wind gusts die down just a bit, heading into early Thursday morning. And here in the Bay Area, it's looking a lot nicer tomorrow morning compared to what we're seeing and what we are expecting to see for the rest of today. So yet again, hurricane force wind extending about 80 miles or so from west to east. And you can see as it moves north and northeastward, of course, this red is shrinking a bit. So we won't see that broad area of hurricane force wind. I don't think in the Tampa metro area we'll see sustained hurricane force wind, but hurricane wind gusts, definitely a possibility. But the south and east of the bay you go, it looks like that will be the best chance with those hurricane force wind. And once you get into Polk County, that storm weakens to a Category 1. So central Polk, still around the Lakeland area, hurricane force wind is possible. But by the time we get into late tonight and into tomorrow, it definitely looks more like tropical storm force wind as you head into the Orlando area. And then things start to really calm down for us tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening.
Eric Stone at the wall with the very latest. I've got some feeds coming in that you guys will not believe. Check this out. This is live from Port Charlotte. We've been talking about Port Charlotte on our stream, folks. We've got Eric, we've got Amanda. We're going to be answering your questions in a bit. But first, I want to do a live camera kind of roundup here. And we've got cameras all along the coast to show you what it's like inside a major hurricane as that hurricane is making landfall. So this is from Port Charlotte. I'm going to quickly move on to the next one. But what do you guys think? I mean, we can't see anything here. Visibility is non-existent for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing those winds whip around. They're whipping the rains around, and Port Charlotte is in the brunt of the storm right now. So you're in the eye wall. These are where we say the 155 mile per hour winds are, and they're going to stay that way for some time until that eye itself gets over Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte, and it's going to get calm, and then you're going to experience that backside of the eye wall.
Let's show you. This is a reporter path, so this is where reporters do their live shots, but this is an NBC News crew, And just, I'm going to put away us for a second.
Look at the water.
Look at the water.
Yeah. That water is insane.
This is nuts. Look at the storm surge here. That house behind us is indicative of where the first level of that building meets the second story. And you can see that waters are approaching that second story of this building. Is that an apartment building, or is that are those hotels?
Condo.
I'm not
It
sure.
doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference. You couldn't be more right, Amanda. And the waters, look at that. This is, again, live from our reporter path, and we'll monitor this shot as well. Let's also go over to, this is now going to be live from St. Petersburg. St. Pete, closer to us in the Tampa Bay area, but also to farther away from the storm. It's just some waves, really. I mean, oh my goodness. But look at the contrast, Eric, between St. Pete and what we're looking at as far as Port Charlotte and in Naples as well. I mean, a massive difference.
It's, and that's why we talk about, we say, if this storm jogs 50 miles to the south, it's going to look so much different than if it jogs 50 miles to the north. Because when you go out 40 miles from the eye, you're talking about the hurricane force wind. You're talking first of the 130 plus mile an hour wind, then down to 100, then down to 80 and 75. Once you get past the 50 mile per hour, or I should say 50 miles outside of the eye, you see tropical storm force wind, and it just gets so much worse the fewer miles you go toward that center of circulation. So you see that example there from St. Pete down toward where that was, whether it was in Southwest Florida or maybe it was Boca Grande, Englewood area.
And this is Fort Myers now. I'm actually surprised the camera is shaking this little, because usually we did have, let me point this out. We had a shot from the Naples Pier.
Yes.
Gone. We don't know what happened to it.
What I saw, JB.
Who knows? I mean, who knows what happened to that camera?
Before that camera went out, the waves were over the pier. Now, we were looking, 9, 10, 11 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
And the waves weren't even crashing onto the pier. Well, you couldn't even see those two buildings at the end because the waves were crashing over the deck, the railings, and even into those buildings.
Let's remind our audience, Amanda, I want to hear from you in a second.
Yep.
Hashtag Hey Eric or hashtag Hey Amanda. We're going to start getting in your questions and comments now.
I was just going to say this camera right here in Fort Myers, it's right on the edge of the eye wall. That's why we actually might be seeing some clearing here, because it should be clearing out over the next few minutes for a short while. They're right on the edge, so they're not going to make it through the center of the eye. It might not clear completely, but we are getting some of that clearing there.
Okay. People asking in our comment section really quickly before I go to the hashtag comments, what is the current situation with the storm with category, specific to category?
Category 4, it is still 155 maximum sustained wind. When it does make landfall, which will be any minute, the National Hurricane Center will issue an update, and we will have an official wind and a category, of course. I don't think it's going to go up from 155, but at landfall.
All right, let's start to get to some of your questions and comments out of the Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment sections for the two experts that you see on your screen, meteorologist Amanda Holly, meteorologist Eric Stone. We'll start here with this one. Again, use a hashtag, ask a question. Lindsay Firster wants to know, hashtag AJB, we are seeing, or actually this is just a comment, we're seeing significant wind increases over in Clearwater, you guys.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the closer the storm gets, even though it's not going to come anywhere near Clearwater, the closer the storm gets, of course, the wind is going to pick up. And when this storm is southern Manatee, as it heads into maybe Hardy, that's when the eye will be the closest to Clearwater, or by that time, the center of circulation. There probably won't be a visible eye. But again, the winds will be picking up in the Clearwater area, in the Tampa area for the next several hours into this evening before things start to die down and this system moves away from our area.
I was just going to give some wind reports. Right now, we're getting gusts at the St. Pete airport there at 59 miles per hour. That's a gust, and those winds are well into the sustained tropical storm force as well into the 40s. So certainly gusty in Clearwater.
Let's go to this one from Karen on YouTube Live. Hashtag Hey Amanda. I have family in Ocala and Orlando. How much do you expect these areas to be impacted by Ian?
Not nearly as much as the areas down south that are being impacted right now, the Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Sarasota area, even up into Hardy, DeSoto County, and Polk County. You guys are going to experience some power outages. We'll experience those isolated flooding. But up toward Ocala and the Gainesville area and Orlando, we could see some power outages, and it will be gusty, but it's not going to be anything that you haven't really been through before. It's going to be tropical storm conditions. So, upwards of maybe 40, 50 mile per hour gusts offset times, especially later on tomorrow, because that's when the center of the storm will get a little closer to you. But you're already starting to see some of that rain, but not nearly as significant impacts.
Sarah Shapiro asking #HeyJB, is the bay drained yet? Do you have any pictures? And I do have, again, we can bring up Twitter with #HeyJB, and we did have this one a short time ago from Vanessa, and I'm showing this one more time to our audience. This shows the water being sucked out of Tampa Bay by Hurricane Ian. She says the location is Gandy Beach Mangroves at St. Pete. We'll play this kind of here full screen. You guys can see what we're talking about. And we had a great shot earlier. Jeff was basically showing us the bottom of Tampa Bay. This is what it looks like. This is where the fish normally swim. What's the update that we know on Tampa Bay right now? Well, hold on a second. I do have one feed, the tower cam.
Yep.
Let's bring up tower cam upstairs about 120 feet. And let's go. Okay, it's showing the Hillsborough River right now, but we do get an idea, Amanda and Eric, of the impacts.
We do not normally see those banks on the side of the river. So you can see it, closest to us on the western side of the river, and then look a little bit farther up to the north, look north of it, Eric's head, if you will. That bank is also exposed. So we are seeing the water receding because it's the winds. It's the winds physically
Hold on one
pushing.
second, you guys. Hold on one second. We've got something coming in. Check this out. There's a live report. Let's kind of listen.
Water and much higher winds. We're not even in the cone of the hurricane. That's the remarkable thing. We're still getting remarkable force because of where we are relative to the hurricane. So it is fairly serious here, but it's a very good depiction of what's happening in southwestern Florida, but it's not the worst of it.
Look at this, you guys. This is the storm surge that we were talking about.
This is the storm surge that we could have been dealing with in Tampa Bay if the storm made landfall farther north.
This is again a reporter path. We're just listening to a it looks like they're moving away from.
It's not like the Titanic anymore. It's like watching a boxing match with a guy that's one day going to go down. Go down this time.
I didn't get it, but it's before he says something a little too interesting for our coverage.
He said it was like a boxing match, whatever that one means. But
look at the levels there. I'm sorry, Amanda. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Did you
you're
want to
good.
finish the point about Tampa Bay and about the Hillsborough River?
Yeah, the Hillsborough River. So, the water's receding because we're seeing literally the opposite effect of storm surge. Storm surge, when we talk about that, that's the winds pushing the water up along the coast. The opposite of that is the winds pushing the water out of the bay. It's exactly what we're seeing right now.
Let's get to Eric, do you want to chime in?
No, I was just going to say, I looked out the window about an hour ago and I saw a beach. The Hillsborough River's right outside our window. And there's like beaches there now. You can see the banks. It's crazy.
Let's get to this comment question. #HeyJB, what is the rain amount forecast for Brandon, Florida?
Brandon, about 8 to 12. It's looking a lot less now that it's taken a more south and easterly track. So, where yesterday or even the day before, we were talking about 20 plus inches of rain. And again, once the track moves ever so slightly south and east, but it makes a big difference for places like Brandon and places like Tampa Bay, Clearwater, and St. Pete.
Let's get to this one. Frank Dorenzo III says #HeyJB, getting intense right now in Fort Myers. And I see Lee Spann over here in our, in our room. And
Yeah.
Devastating impacts, Lee says, in Fort Myers. If there's anything that we should be looking at in Fort Myers, please tweet it with #HeyJB, and I'll bring up the phone capture again, and we'll show it coming up here if we can. That hashtag, of course, signals to us that we can show it on our stream. But really, our thoughts and prayers right now, my goodness, are for folks there in Fort Myers. You're fearing the worst. And look, when we get this landfall declaration by the NHC any second now, where do we anticipate the actual location being?
I would say right around Boca Grande, in my opinion.
Captiva's right in the center of it right now.
Any moment, everybody. We're waiting on the landfall declaration by the NHC. As we look on, Lee, got something?
Not in chat yet, but they just did issue a vortex message, which is a location.
Yep. Lee is talking to us, folks. That's why we've just gone silent here for a second. Let's show you everybody from Willie on Twitter. This is on my phone here. Northport at 2:20 p.m. Strong winds from Northport of the eye wall Hurricane Ian. And there we see this on our screen. Just a little bit of what's going on right now in Northport, Florida. We'll come back to Twitter, folks. Send us pictures, images. Pictures and images, the same thing. Pictures and videos, and we'll put them up here on screen if they have hashtag KJB and if they're talking about an area that we are talking about here on stream. Let's get to this question coming in from Amy Potts on Facebook Live. Wants to know the situation for Lake Wales.
Well, it's, the storm's going to move pretty close to being right over Lake Wales, right? But it will be, at worst, a Category 1 storm as it moves closer to you. I definitely think you'll see hurricane-force wind gusts, but maybe or maybe not, probably not hurricane-force wind speed, although you'll be in that swath of a good 10 to 14 inches, at least with a storm.
And not to mention the isolated tornado threats. I was just checking on radar, and there's...
What a storm, hey? Unreal. And it's only just begun. Like, it's up to the top of the roofs. Unreal. I thought I heard someone yelling too. Mexi. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe it was one of those cameramen or something? I don't know. So yeah, I've just, you were sick for all those people. I hope that most of them, all of them, left, grabbed their cats and dogs and got the hell out of there and drove to the middle of the country. Oh, my word.
Just to the south of Jacksonville. And you know what? Circulation, since it's going to be moving to the south, you may get a small storm surge in the Jacksonville area along the coast. I would say, 2 to 4 feet. Nothing even close to what you're seeing right here, but tropical storm force wind in Jacksonville, and of course you're going to get a lot to 6 to 10 inches in that area, maybe even more.
I will say Jacksonville was an area that was really impacted by Irma, even though obviously the didn't make landfall in Jacksonville. Irma did, but because of the location and the winds, that Jacksonville River is really susceptible to a storm surge, and downtown it's all very low lying, so that is possible for that to happen, but the storm will be weakening much weaker as it passes through.
Let's go to this one coming in. We're taking questions from Twitter as well. Hashtag KJB from Oracle Gordon and hashtag Jeff as well, because Charlie was so compressed and smaller. Does that mean Ian may not be as potent because it is spread so far?
This is
I
worse.
see both of you shaking your head. Yeah,
this is worse because it's so big. So it's a prolonged time of 100 plus mile an hour wind. And then after you get through the eye and you think, oh my gosh, everything's over, the south and west side is even worse, which is not typical in a hurricane. So no, this is way worse.
I mean, we're going to have much farther reaching impacts, not only because the eye itself is bigger, but the eye wall is a lot bigger too. So that means those 155 mile per hour winds are being felt over a much larger area than Charlie's winds were. So yes, worse.
And keep in mind, Charlie's moving a lot quicker too.
Yes.
So this is going to have more time to dump rain and with those blustery wind.
Playing this back again off of my phone here just so that we can stay in the know and stay aware, folks. Again, this one here is live from Port Charlotte. And again, let's show you live now from, my goodness, the visibility on the shot is dropping. This is from Naples again. Looking for anything, especially at Fort Myers, folks.
So
Port Charlotte, right?
So that is the one that I was watching this morning with that pier that's like gone now. It was not too bad. There's people standing on it, kind of taking selfies and what have you. So this is like, I don't know how many hours later, but yeah, the pier's gone. No people taking selfies, and the water, like cars are floating.
right now is in the northeastern eye wall, and the winds are very strong right now in Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda.
You know, it's interesting. Our commenters are the worst of this.
Worst winds, the worst storm surge, absolutely, right near that center, and that's where we're seeing that come ashore right now. Again, Captiva, down in the southern section of Sarasota County, Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, just to the north of Naples, Cape Coral. That is where we're seeing these significant catastrophic damage. The eye wall is where the strongest winds are. The 155-mile-per-hour winds are. The hurricane force winds, they extend out about 40 miles from the center of the storm, last I checked. And so there will be strong winds outside of that. But the eye wall, that rain band that wraps around that clear part of the eye, that is where we see the most catastrophic damage.
You know, what's interesting is the closest Ian was ever to Naples was 40 miles. It never really got in that hurricane force wind area. And look at how much damage is still going on.
On the southern side, that is key when you're talking about storm surge and a landfalling system at this angle.
Yeah, earlier, JB, we were watching Naples Pier. We were watching the water go parallel to the coast because the storm was parallel to the coast. Now that it's a little bit further to the north, now you're seeing that water coming in from the west, and you see it right there.
RY, #KJB, Northport, feeling it hard now. House is shaking with the gusts. Not surprised to hear this out of Northport.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but the worst isn't even close to being over. You will be in the eye, and then after, you will get another round of rain and wind, and that wind may even be stronger than what you're experiencing now.
Caroline wants to know, hashtags for all of us, if all this water's coming down from the Gulf and the pressure being around 935 millibars, can fish come down with the rain, or can fish get tossed about? I mean,
it's not like cows. We're not talking about like yesterday.
Fish are fine, right?
Yeah, the fish are fine. Usually, actually, marine life are very smart, and they exit the area when they know a storm is coming, and they can actually feel the drop in pressure. They have that in their bodies, so they evacuate the area. They eat a bunch right before the pressure really drops, and then they get out. And then they come back in. They've actually proved that with sharks.
There was a lot of folks asking about manatees earlier, and we actually had a live report on air about the manatees in our area too. Denise Power, #KJB. And look, asking you shall receive. A lot of folks asking about Bradenton and Palmetto as well.
Yeah, I mean, hurricane force wind gusts, but hurricane force wind not really all that likely in Bradenton, Palmetto. It's possible, but again, with this storm moving so far south and east, definitely tropical storm force wind, possibility of wind gusting over 70, 75 at times, with again most of the heavy rain coming to the northwest of the storm, which you will be, but you're still pretty far away. So I'd give it about 6 to 10 inches or so in that area.
Alexandra, #KJBI, family in Naples. What is going on there?
Yeah, I have family and I have friends in Naples. Okay, so
this is what's going on.
So when we take a look at this, Naples is, it's a pretty big town.
It is, yep.
The rule of thumb in most of Southwest Florida, south of Fort Myers, west of 41, US 41.
Look at that
then
stuff.
you have the possibility of storm surge like this. All right, 41 is at times a couple miles to even 5 or so miles inland from the coast. In Naples, it's a little bit closer. So don't expect all of Naples to be looking like this. This is along the immediate coast, maybe within a half a mile to a mile west of US 41. Again, to me, this looks like it's in the Vanderbilt Beach area, which is in the northern portions of Naples. I can't confirm that, but that's what it looks like to me. If you have friends that live in Naples Park, that's another area that is flood prone down to, which is Vanderbilt Beach rather, and the further south you go toward Naples Pier, Fifth Avenue, there's a lot of nice shops there. All that is west of 41 and could be experiencing storm surge.
Really quickly, we got to ask our meteorologists sometimes about the authenticity of photos. Amanda, can I ask you really quickly just to take a look at this photo over here? You can get as close as you'd like and tell me if that's something.
So that is from a regular thunderstorm. It is a real picture. It's just a regular shelf cloud. It's a summer thunderstorm.
Got it. See, and this is why I asked the meteorologist, because look, there are times when people are just trying to get their picture on stream and it's not exactly of the subject matter. So we're very cognizant of that. In the meantime, let's bring you back to our weather computer. Because we said half an hour ago we were minutes away from a landfall declaration, and we don't have one yet, do we?
We haven't had one declared officially by the National Hurricane Center, not at least in our chat. I've been checking every time you hear that noise.
Can we see Max Defender 8? Is there a way to bring that up, or
you can probably take Weather 4?
Yeah, Weather 4. I've got it on.
Got it.
Yep.
Coming up. Here it is. Okay, so can we move Weather 4? I want to see where the eye is. Here it is. And also so that timestamp at the top also telling us where this is up to. So this is as of 5 minutes ago.
Can you put that in play actually again, Eric?
What's that?
Radar.
Hold on. Oh, I've got the double mouse.
Oh.
In the meantime, I'll keep an eye out for more questions and comments as
I'll let you.
Here, yeah, I'll log in over here.
Pam wants to know in our comment section, our Facebook Live comment section, hashtag HeyJB. What about Ellington? Is the question from Pam.
Ellington, pretty similar impacts to what we just described for Bradenton. You're going to experience some really strong winds as we get into probably the next 2 hours or so, within about 2 hours at the end of that window. So strong winds as in 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, or especially gusts upwards of that. Rainfall, certainly we'll see some localized flooding near Ellington, but again, Ellington kind of on that Manatee River, not experiencing that storm surge right now.
Okay, so we're back here and we're talking about Max Defender 8. So what are we looking at here on Max Defender 8?
So that is a live look right now. Last scan came in at 2:46. You can see the timestamp there. And what you're looking at is the reds right over Northport. That is the strongest part of the eye wall. Those are intense winds in southern Sarasota County, Northport, Inglewood, Venice, Laurel. Got Oscar Scheer State Park right there.
Normal or abnormal for the strongest part of the storm to be north to the northwest of the eye wall?
Normally we don't see that. It's usually on the east side.
Right.
And we've done a lot of talking about that where.
And I want to make sure that I have this right. What percent of hurricanes would you say are strongest on the southeast side?
Southeast to east?
Yeah, like
90 plus.
90 plus.
Yeah.
So this is a very rare or somewhat rare occurrence.
It is.
Of the strongest part of the storm being northeast of the eye wall.
That's right.
Switching over to a different source here so we can move it around for you guys.
Yeah. If we can really zoom in and show people local impacts, this would be great.
All right. So right now.
This is now.
And no, this is now. Sorry.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, intense right now in Northport, Venice, and Inglewood.
Sending our thoughts to our folks in Northport.
I have family in Venice and Inglewood, so I am in contact with them right now. There are trees snapping, and it's very loud, and the winds are at their strongest point right now.
I think I have a feed from Fort Myers. Let's show you just really quickly Fort Myers if we can, and we'll bring it up on your screen. Here it is. It's Fort Myers. Oh yeah.
There we go. Now we're seeing it.
This was what I was talking about earlier. The nausea effect with these cameras that are mounted atop poles very high up. So that's what's going on in Fort Myers, which is on the east side right now of the eye wall.
Yeah, kind of interesting. So, Fort Myers in this area right here, we're also seeing these really intense winds right here. But this is the eye, folks. This is where they're seeing sunshine. So just a few miles away from Fort Myers, it's calm. There are birds flying and there is sun shining on that bay right there. But in Fort Myers, obviously it's not. We just got that live picture.
Yep. Let's see here. I don't know what this shot is. Maybe we can look at this together and figure this out. I'm not sure what we're looking at on our screen. Is this Where's this from? This is from one of our packs, our TVU packs. This might be.
That might be Jeff Patterson. I know he was in a parking garage.
I think this is a crew that is, yes, finding a parking garage safe spot. Goes to show that our crews are out there trying to be safe. So I believe you're right. I believe this is Jeff Patterson shot.
And he's in Punta Gorda.
Punta Gorda. Let's go to this shot. We're going around our TVU packs here really quickly. Let's show you this shot. Not sure where this is. These are live cameras moving around. Okay, mostly a shot of the ground. And again, let's show you one more time. Naples. Screen, just hit, take. There it is. That's Naples, Florida. So now let's go back as we look here and you see these cars that are almost completely submerged now. Let's go back to Max Fender 8 and show you where Naples is right now on the map.
So Naples is south of Fort Myers here. So you've got Naples right here.
Yep.
And they are on the southern edge of that, eye wall, if you will, but those winds, I mean, you can see the rain is not nearly intense, and that's usually a good indication that the winds aren't nearly as intense, but certainly it's the eye wall. It's a Category 4 storm. It's well formed, so you are still seeing those intense winds.
Yeah, and the wind to the south of the storm, well offshore Naples, is so strong that it is pushing the wind onshore into Collier County, even if the wind in Naples is only 40, 50 miles per hour.
So this is what's happening, folks. This is the wind direction and is literally pushing the Gulf of Mexico water. We had a question about that earlier, all up into the bays and the rivers. That's why that water level rises. The wind is relentless. It's not backing off at any point. So the water can't recede. It just has to keep going up onto the land, into those low-lying areas.
I want to point out something really, really quickly, if I can. I'm just looking at some of the, oh, wait. I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. I was looking at some of the comments here, and I thought I saw something, but this is what happens when you do live streaming here, folks. You're talking about, a lot of things bouncing around, so apologies for that.
Here, I can chat for a minute, JB, while you get something ready.
I have some comments loaded up now.
All right.
Jay wants to know that they're storm chasers. Yeah, we know, reporting rapid water rise in Naples, as we are seeing right here. On this shot. Let's get to some of the other areas on Facebook Live. I want to help people. We're here to help people. So if there's anything that we can do to help folks, we're going to try to answer as many questions as possible. People in other counties, such as Brittany, in our Facebook Live comment section wants to know, hashtags all around, will Ian maintain strength to potentially impact Volusia County as a Cat 3?
No. It's going to weaken rapidly as it moves on land. By the time it makes its way to Polk County, it'll be a Cat 1 at best. And then as it makes its way to Osceola, Orange County, Orlando, it'll be a tropical storm. By the time it makes its way to Volusia County, it will be a mid-grade tropical storm, probably around a 50-mile-per-hour or so storm.
How about this one, Lindsay, from our Facebook Live comment section wants to know, hashtag.
I can't believe some people choose to stay. Like, it blows me away. I see all of that water, and it just makes me feel nauseous. It's like, oh my God. I couldn't imagine choosing to stay, but, I guess if your home is there and, they have their own reasons, it's up to them. But I would be terrified if I had a family member that was like, no, I'm staying. I'd be like, oh my God, no, run, let's run. Oh my God, this is like horrible.
Okay, Eric, has the size of the eye increased?
Yeah, we've been watching that. The last I checked, it was around 35 miles. I know Amanda's got our
Hurricane Ian. He is getting look, you see his phone dangling there. Jeff is what is going on right now in Punta Gorda? Can we see it on Max Fender 8?
They're in the eye wall. Yeah, I have it up.
It. Yeah,
right here.
Downtown Punta Gorda is very susceptible with Charlotte Harbor right there. Even Tropical Storm Elsa and Ada flooded downtown Punta Gorda with maybe 6 inches of rain, 7 inches of rain. Well, this is way more than that. So there's so much flooding going on in Charlotte County right now, and you see it right there.
Let's go to, we'll try to come back for Jeff's live report. He's trying to get on the air with a live report. I'm looking behind you, Amanda, because that's our TV screen, and that's going to give me an idea as to when we can go to Jeff. But let me get to this comment from Shelly real quick. A lot of folks want to know about Pasco County storm surge. Hey, look, Pasco County, let me explain something. This could have been Pasco County.
Yes.
We were talking about Newport Richey potentially being a spot where we were talking about historic storm surge.
48 hours ago, we were talking about that.
That's right. And this is a system now that, I mean, my goodness, are they being in large part spared, or
Yes.
they're also seeing massive impacts there too?
They are being spared.
Okay.
Big time.
So earlier I was drawing the arrows on shore winds, but the wind direction is offshore. So that's why we're seeing these lower than normal tides, and they really will not experience any kind of storm surge. You're going to experience those lower than normal tides likely through tonight.
Let's get to some other comments coming in, but I also want to just keep an eye on Jeff's signal here, and it has gone dark.
Not surprising.
Not surprising. And that likely means that they lost connection for a time, or they're changing out batteries on the camera. There was a flickering there. Oh, there's another flickering. We might try to get this shot back here momentarily.
Maybe the camera's aimed inside and you're seeing those lights.
Possible too. What do people? Let me ask you guys this question. We're waiting for landfall declaration here. If the center of the eye is over a barrier island, even a very narrow one, are we talking about them, or does it have to move over like mainland for them?
I don't think so. I think it can move over a barrier island. It looks like, I mean, if the center's not over Sanibel Captiva right now, then I don't know when it will be, because it's pretty darn close to dead center. Bakelia, that is Pine Island. You've got Kea Costa just south of Boca Grande. And then you've got North Captiva and Captiva. So I can't imagine South Seas is Captiva, but toward the north end.
Let's go to our own Jack Royer, who's standing by for a live report. Let's listen in.
Last hour, the winds are wild now. They've blown tons of debris in front of this shopping mall strip center. You can see these stop signs are a good indication as you see these sheets of rain and branches being thrown by the wind. You can get a good idea by just watching these signs that are planted into the ground being ripped apart by this wind. Branches are flying down the street. The water here is insane. That's the only way to say it. Jeff's talking about how powerful this storm is. We moved down a bit to get around the corner so you could really get an idea of these winds. There is no one out right now. I cannot emphasize it enough. These winds are powerful enough to be shaking these cars that are parked here in this parking lot. If we can see those, I'm not sure. Those are literally wobbling back and forth. Anyone who's ever been in this kind of weather in a vehicle knows that scary feeling. The signs up above the road are just wobbling back and forth, shaking in the wind. Anything, including the light poles, seem vulnerable here, saying nothing of the trees and the falling branches. So in the last hour or so, this eye wall that's approached Northport has really taken hold and is picking up steam for sure. I'm not sure if this is the worst of it. Jeff would be able to tell us that, but man, you can hear it, I bet, behind us. Just this sweeping debris across this parking lot. Leaves are falling off the trees. I'm going to step out of it to avoid getting hit by anything, of course, but just absolutely crazy. In fact, look behind me there at this dumpster and all of these plants. There is so much debris from the trees in this parking lot that was not here an hour ago. So in the last few minutes, it's really started to intensify. It started to get really, really wet. We went through this period earlier with that last outer band of rain where we weren't really getting any rain. I actually dried off for a little while, and now it is pretty soaking here again, guys. We wanted to give you that look.
Yeah, Northport is it's pretty bad right now, and I'm not sure where in Northport Jack is. Northport's kind of a big town, at least area-wise, and extends north of I-75. But boy, the southern portions of Northport, Amanda, are looking really rough right now.
Yeah, I mean, it could get even worse for Jack there, again, depending on exactly where he's at. But you can see those reds. We're looking at the northern edge of the eye wall. And again, I keep saying it, that's where we have the 155-mile-per-hour winds that were measured by the hurricane hunters earlier this morning.
The YouTube live comment section has declared that Jack's hat is the MVP of storm coverage so far because it has somehow not flown off of his head.
Impressive.
He's got it tied on.
Jack's a pro, by the way. He was on last year's Track in the Tropics from New Orleans.
Lee and I talked about that this morning.
Yeah, with which storm was it again? Remind me. Was it?
It was Ida. Yeah,
it was Ida, and Jack was with us.
I names are notorious for
we
this.
loved him so much at WIAT CBS 42 in Birmingham, Alabama, that we got him over here to WFLA. Let's go over to Jeff Patterson now. He's live. Where exactly again?
There was power. Now, if you look behind me, the street lights are out, the traffic lights are out. There are trees that are down. Actually, one traffic light over there in this direction, north of us, is still active, but the traffic lights to our south are out, and the power to our south is out. Just a short time ago, we checked out the Peace River, which is to our north, and the Peace River, because of the flow of these winds, the water has been sucked out of the river, so it's kind of dry up there right now, dry in a relative term. But these winds have been incredibly powerful here. We have seen street signs that have been knocked over. We have seen, of course, trees that have been knocked over. I saw a tree fall into a house earlier. So the wind and the storm here in Punta Gorda is about as strong as I can ever recall seeing standing out in a hurricane like this. And we have just been as safe as we could be in this concrete parking structure. But as you can tell just from having Joey Capistrand, who is 6 feet 3 inches tall and a big guy, be blown around the way he is being blown around right now, it's pretty intense out here. So there are people that have been in downtown Punta Gorda. For the most part, they have been safe. Joe, are you okay? All right, so we're going to toss it back to you guys because it's just not safe to keep going at this time.
Wow, and Jeff, when Jeff says it's not safe, it's not safe.
No,
so
definitely not.
He is moving back into the parking garage there. We're now looking at storm relative velocity, Amanda, and we brought up this graphic for a very specific reason, correct?
Yeah, so typically we look at velocities to track tornadoes because it gives us a really good idea of where rotation is. But what velocity does is it actually tells us how fast those particles are moving and in what direction. That's what a velocity is. So I've queried some numbers from our radar, and you can see these are in the eye wall. And again, this is right outside where it's very calm at the moment. That would be the eye, and right around this, these are the winds that Punta Gorda is experiencing, right near Inglewood and right near Northport. So again, we're seeing these winds validated in these live shots.
Yeah, you can see it 120 to 140 miles per hour around the eye wall. And look, the northwestern side, the strongest of the wind, which again we just normally don't see in hurricanes.
Yeah, the 140 mile per hour wind, that is, I literally queried it. I didn't write that on there. That is a query from our radar site.
Let's listen in to this live report from MSC.
Yeah, well, look, I'll tell you, there are people here because this is very, very solid construction. So you have somewhere to go above the first floor, although it's getting perilously close to the second floor here. But if you have somewhere to go above the first floor, you know that the surge is going to be about 8 feet, you're okay. So there are people who are here. In fact, we're at a hotel, and there are people staying here as well. The hotel was actually trying to provide services, but we lost power. You can't get to the front of the hotel. The entire first level of the, is completely flooded. So we haven't seen movement of people or cars around here for many, many, many hours. We do know that there are some emergency services that are operating at some of the higher the higher altitude, the higher level parts of Naples and so on. We're at the beach, so we're at sea level. And this is what it looks like, actually, for many dozens of miles south of here and north of here. If you're sea level in southwestern Florida, you're inundated like we are.
Amanda, what's the latest?
Yeah, so we were just a second ago issued another one of those extreme wind warnings, and I have it up on. Oh, I actually don't have it. If you could take weather 3, or I'm sorry, weather.
Let me change the view, but yeah.
What is it? Traffic. We need traffic.
Source 120. Yeah, extreme wind warning, Charlotte to Soto, and into Sarasota County. So that's, and again, what this means is, and even parts of southern Manatee County, what this means is the wind potential of ongoing or potential 115 plus mile per hour wind for a period of time. And again, it does so much damage with that much wind
for that
prolonged.
long. Yeah.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons Charlie wasn't as devastating, because it was moving much faster than this. This is moving at 9 miles an hour.
And the thing about extreme wind warnings is they don't get issued very often at all, not even with every tropical cyclone making landfall. They are tropical cyclone specific, but only to these catastrophic winds.
Yeah.
I think we just had everybody really, I'm sorry, really quickly. We just had Jeff Patterson call in. And if we can get Jeff, if we can get his signal up, we will bring Jeff onto our stream if possible. However, I'm not seeing his shot at the moment. Jeff, if you can hear me, throw a thumbs up if you've got us, and I will put your shot up on stream, and we'll talk to you here and get the latest from, of course, where you are in Punta Gorda. But we're looking for your shot right now. In the meantime, folks, you're not going to believe this shot. You want to see what it looks like from space? The International Space Station? Take a look. Welcome to International Space Station's feed of Hurricane Ian live from space. Amanda, who better than you to break down exactly what we're seeing here?
They're 250 miles up, and you can't even get it in one frame. That should tell you everything. It's a very large storm. You see the eye right passing underneath those solar panels right there? That is where it is calm. That is where it is making landfall right now, and you can... Yeah, I mean, if we were a little bit closer, you could see the ocean and the land underneath there. But, you know, that's the center of the storm. And you can see the spiraling bands kind of on that southern side of the bottom of the picture there. Yeah, it's a massive storm. And even what's really cool, what's about to go over the solar panels right now, that's a billowing thunderstorm.
Wow.
On the outskirts in those outer rain bands, maybe even an isolated tornado. That's what we see happen.
You know what's under that? All of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a blanket of white, but all of us are underneath this right now.
It'll be interesting to see the Port Charlotte camera in the next several minutes to see if we actually
Jeff
do
Patterson's
see.
camera should be getting clear, actually.
He should be as well, yeah.
Wow. So what you're saying is that Jeff Patterson in Punta Gorda, let's bring up Max Fender 8 again here if we can. And
you're gonna have to take weather for.
Okay, let's a lot of switching around here, folks. Bear with us. Different weather computers, different sources. Okay, so Max Fender 8 is showing us the eye.
Jeff is right here in Punta Gorda, and then this clearing is headed in his direction. This is the clearing we were just seeing from the ISS.
Jeff has moved into a vehicle, the Max Fender 8 vehicle. Jeff, if you've got us, pop up on camera and throw a thumbs up, and we'll bring you onto our stream here and have a conversation with you, and you can speak to our audience here. You are, I think you're in the Max Fender 8 vehicle, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look for your feed here. But yeah, Jeff live right now or about to be live out of Punta Gorda, everybody, which is here on the top of your screen.
This has definitely made landfall if you look at the center of the eye.
Yeah, it absolutely
being
has.
the center of the storm.
They just haven't officially, sent out the notification. It has that center of the storm has absolutely moved over several of those barrier islands.
Everybody, welcome inside the Max Defender 8 vehicle with, of course, veteran journalist, award-winning journalist Jeff Patterson here with us live, everybody. Jeff, tell us what the plan is and what you have observed with Hurricane Ian. We're watching you right now on Max Defender 8, and obviously it's been a rough go of it the last several minutes as we were watching your live shot a moment ago.
Yeah, I was just up on Channel 8 and standing out in the street, JP. Let me just show you out in front of the vehicle right now. We are inside of the Max Defender 8 vehicle underneath a very substantial concrete parking garage. And I can tell you, this is a pretty large vehicle, and it's rocking. We are moving around quite a bit because of the wind. Standing out there in the street was intense. It was about the most heavy wind I think I have ever been in any hurricane, and I've been through a few. So we are trying to be as safe as we can, but at the same time, observe what's going on here. And what is going on is quite incredible. The power has now gone out for parts of Punta Gorda where we are. There are still some power. There's still some power to the city because I can see some traffic lights up. I can see some lights in the community that are on. But a substantial part of the grid here in Punta Gorda is now down. We are up on the 4th floor of this parking garage, and I can see the major transmission lines are still standing. The cell phone towers are still standing, and that's very fortunate because, of course, you need communication, you need power, and once those major transmission lines are knocked out, it takes a long time for the power companies, the crews, to get out here and to rebuild those. Of course, they can't do that while the hurricane is still blowing, but after the storm passes, if those major transmission lines are knocked down, it takes that much longer, sometimes days and weeks, for these power lines to be restored. So we're hoping that those have been built up since Hurricane Charlie in 2004 happened. I saw those towers for those major transmission lines fold in half. Those major steel towers fold in half. And so that was quite incredible to observe. And what we're observing right now is also quite incredible. We have heard crashes throughout the city. We've heard some crashes here in the parking garage. We saw a sign blown down just in front of us. And so, you know, what we're seeing outside of our window and out on the street is just remarkable.
And again, we really appreciate your time, Jeff, and we'll be looking for you on WFLA News Channel 8. We'll be saying farewell for now, folks. Stand by for breaking news.
Live from our hurricane headquarters with real-time analysis from some of the nation's top meteorologists, this is Tracking the Tropics.
Hurricane Ian makes landfall, officially declared by the National Hurricane Center just a moment ago, shortly after 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, with devastating, catastrophic impacts across the Florida Gulf Coast. We're live here with you on Tracking the Tropics with meteorologist Amanda Holly. JB here with you live, meteorologist Eric Stone around here in the Stream Center. And guys, let's really now, if we can, go hyper-local into the landfall area. And where exactly, Amanda, did they officially declare landfall to have occurred?
Yep, we just got the notification in from the National Hurricane Center. Their wording: extremely dangerous Category 4 Hurricane Ian makes landfall in southwestern Florida near Cayo Costa at 3:05. And kind of interesting here, maximum winds were at 150 miles per hour, so not quite that 155 miles per hour. So that's good news, and not necessarily unexpected that you see some weakening as it moves ashore. It's moving very slowly, so that eye wall kind of...
This is totally my worst nightmare. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So, I just don't know. This thing is massive. I've never seen such a thing. Every year, like this, somebody gets pummeled like this, and it's like, oh my God. It's terrifying to me. It really is. You look at all of that water that's headed that way, and you know that it's just touchdown. So there's more to come. There's, oh my God. It is it's my worst freaking nightmare.
Had time to degrade a little bit as it...
Right now, where are they the worst? Obviously in the red areas, so Northport is still being
Punta Gorda,
slammed,
Northport,
correct?
Port Charlotte. Yeah, where you saw Iona, that's really close to where I used to live for years in Fort Myers. They are in the eye right now in the western portion of Fort Myers. Now, Punta Gorda, things will start to improve for them. But again, Northport really getting hammered. This looks like Jack Roy.
This is Jack in Northport. Let's
About 12 hours or more now. I've honestly lost count, but it is quite a scene because what was an area that people were coming by and checking things out and looking has now become completely barren. There are some people who have sheltered in the businesses along this strip mall. Some of them have in a structure like this. We have been here because we've felt safe here, away from some of the winds, easy to step away.
The winds don't bother me. The water with the wind bothers me. Well, I can't say that the wind doesn't bother me. That's not true, but I don't find
from it. But we are feeling it now, and it's just impressive to see. see what Mother Nature can do, what this storm is doing as it moves across Northport, north of where Jeff Patterson was, who you heard from a minute ago. He has a high up vantage point. This is ground level about 12 miles from the Gulf, and this is what it's doing as it makes landfall in the southern tip of Sarasota County. Keith and Stacy.
Jack Royer with us live, everybody, from Northport. My goodness. We're back here with you live looking at Max Fender 8. So right in the middle of your screen, that's where Jack is joining us from. Jack and Jeff are of course, two of my friends here at the station. So, Amanda, it's a rough go of it right now in Northport, or Charlotte, Punta Gorda, where Jeff is.
Yep. So they're both in that eye wall right now, experiencing those strongest winds. You saw, all of just the debris, the leaves, and the limbs around Jack there in the parking lot that he is in. So, that's only going to get worse because, again, especially for Northport might not actually even see clearing because, the storm's moving in this general direction. So it's got all of this eye wall still to get through before those conditions improve. So again, the structures that normally would be able to withstand a few gusts up to this strength will, have devastation and damage to them because that prolonged catastrophic winds, those strong winds are going to break down things.
Yeah, imagine trying to stand in a 100-mile-an-hour wind for 5 seconds versus try to stand in it for 10 minutes or 30 minutes. It's just not going to happen.
Let's go to really quickly, folks. I want to show everybody Naples. Okay, the reporters moved into the shot. They were looking down this street, and it was significant. We will come back to this shot. In the meantime, let me show you my phone. People who were asking about Lakeland, asking about Polk County, asking what's going on there right now. Again, I'm paying attention to Twitter, #KJB, and this is from Marisol Santana, who shares this video with us. From Lakeland, 3:05 p.m. And you can see that the winds are starting to pick up there, but not nearly what we're seeing.
Of course, on the Florida coast.
Okay, I'm going to share something else.
Can Lakeland expect everybody in the hours
Lakeland's
ahead?
got a lot of time before the worst condition hits them. In fact,
see if I can remember that I did that. Thank you so much, Molly. You so rock. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, let's see here. There's going to be a little bit of bouncing around. No. Okay. Port Charlotte Harbor? Come on. Okay, it's not doing what I want to there, so hang on here. Okay, that one I think got bounced out. This is too cool. try one more thing here. What? Oh. It's buffering, no doubt. Oh. Oh my God. I don't know. Okay. Oh, it takes me into another one that you cannot see, so that's just, oh my word. Holy. Look at the weather. Oh my goodness. Oh, check those out. This is gonna, okay. Okay, that's not gonna work. Okay. Those were something else. Oh my God. Oh yeah, it makes me feel like, ugh.
Some of that, they're just those really higher waves crashing along to the coastline, but it's not really too much surge. The rest of the bay is empty.
This is Alan.
Oh, that's not, oh, that's just the way it goes, I guess. So, I'm going to jump off and see if I can find some other stuff for this. So, thanks for hanging out with me, watching this stuff. It's just like, holy crap. So, yeah, I'm going to jump off of here for now, and I'll be back with this. So, I will see you in the next one. Bye.